posting updates. Um, CNA class, I got 2 more days left. Okay, I am not out of the situation, so I'm going for the CNA class test sometime, probably for sure before the end of Saturday. This Saturday coming up. My last day is Tuesday, so what I'll probably do is give it maybe 2 to 3 days, because I'm going to have my mother drop me off at the testing center, and then hopefully I pass. So I'll probably do like on Friday, or probably do it on Saturday, and then and so on. So I am reviewing some clinicals again. I feel pretty confident about the academics that I'll pass. They gave me this book here. It's a workbook, okay? And it doesn't give any answers to. There's 130 pages to this, with just questions and full-length responses in literature writing. So one of the reasons that I didn't complete this book was because I wanted to focus what is the primary of this job position, and I need to focus on, right? And we didn't work one time on this book. And the other book that I did read the entire book, we only went over like literally word for word like once or twice of a couple paragraphs, like hardly if anything. So what I'm going to do, since God willing that, say I pass the test, okay, Jesus helps me, I'm able to pass the test, both academics test, and now I'm a certified nursing assistant, right? I have to think positive. Okay, so what I'm going to do, even when I'm going to go when I have free time, when I either travel or, go to the mall, and watch a movie after a meal or something, or go to a restaurant. Whenever I just have some extra time just chilling, I'm going to go over this book. I'm going to keep this book, and I'm going to answer all the questions. And the reason is because this is a CNA book. Now, given how unlegitimate I've already talked about that this class or the book even senses, I think I just have to follow protocol. But I think it is very benefiting regardless, so that whenever I answer all these and have my own responses to this, I can have a go-to book, a CNA book, so knowing that, because this is, this asks questions I could ask a test. And the other book, you have to read a lot of information that some of it doesn't seem to be, you really need to remember, even though you need to know it. So if I go over this, I know sort of the structural part of how the academic test will be asking questions. It'll help me do a run through of this. So when I complete this book, and I have a CNA go-to book with the preparation of a quiz, is that I will be able to go back to this anytime and be able to look and very quickly skim at these answers and look at them and sort of try to get a very quick understanding. Because I was thinking, if I took a medical assisting before an LVN, because an LVN requires me to pass a TSI test, and I failed a TSI test by probably just a few shy questions. And the thing about the TSI test that I took is I'm gonna have to go over the GED questions again of academics, and just go over the math, and hopefully keep trying and passing it. It's like $10, and I can keep trying as many times as I want. So that's really good. But that's what I plan to do, because I plan to skip an entire semester. I do not want to. I'm not going to be, because it's just too much time for me to just go, 3-4 months of school, a number of days a week in class to learn academics, and it's just like core classes. For me to be at the level of college ready. So if I pass this TSI test, down the road, I can skip all that. Just I know that I can go to an LVN, enroll in an LVN, and I'm good. And that's a whole journey in itself. That is going to be just, you know, that is, you know, really out of this world, right? So, but I'm not trying to think too far ahead. But I was thinking, I was like, well, I know I'm going to be enrolling in a patient care technician September 1st, which by a little bit before Christmas, about a month before Christmas, around Thanksgiving, is when I'll finish the classes, because it's 12 weeks, so it's 4, 8, 12, so it's 3 months, September, October, November. So sometime right before Christmas, a few weeks before Christmas, I will have hopefully a patient care technician's certificate as well, and that's good for national. A license is only good for Texas, and then I have to transfer and then take tests again in each state. But it'll allow me to work part-time as a certified nursing assistant and work in hospitals as well. But if I complete this, I'm definitely going to start working for sure, 100%. Once I complete the patient care technician, 1,000%, I'm going to start working. But the CNA would always allow me to work at least part-time, to work in a hospital, to work in nursing homes, rehabilitation centers is something I also want to work in. I'm very want to be drawn to that as well. So rehabilitation centers is just for people that are coming in and out of hospitals, or people that are staying there for a couple weeks, couple days, and so they make their recovery and they eventually go home, right? So it's a very different atmosphere than dementia and Alzheimer's. What I'm at right now in clinicals, which I've done so much in the past, been around so much, and I think that will be very good. So anyway, so the medical assisting class is like 8 months. I think it's like, is it 8 months? Yeah, I think it's like 8. A medical assisting 8 to 10 months. So medical assisting is the LVN is anywhere from 12 to 18 months. So medical assisting is 8 to 10 months. So if I were to say 10 months, I always have to round up because it just takes me longer than everyone else, right? So it's 10 months for me to complete that. It will be very good for me to have this completed, because I could skim over through an entire test book and very quickly go over this information. If I also ever need to go over the certified nursing assistant, test again for whatever reason. But I think it'll be very good. Medical assisting, it's really too far for me right now. But because I still have to figure out phlebotomy and I have the EKG. To my understanding, like the patient care technician, because I've been told so much misinformation. Okay, so a patient care technician does like phlebotomy, does EKG, does vitals, obviously, and a lot of just very minimal errands in and out, documenting and charting everything on the computer system for the doc. You get to work with doctors a little bit lightly, and primarily with nurses and other medical staff. So I don't know if they'll teach me or allow me to do phlebotomy, patient care technician. But when I went to Eastfield, what is the name? El Centro. When I went to El Centro College in downtown Dallas and spoke to one of the student counselors, he said that they don't teach you phlebotomy in that particular class, but I don't know if I understood that correctly. And to my understanding, and I've looked online, it says that there's a lot of them that do teach you, and I'm sort of confused with that whole situation. I just know that I want to do it. I know the basis of what I want to do. But to my understanding, I've looked online, and there's a lot of these classes that teach you phlebotomy in that class, which doesn't make sense, because if you're taking phlebotomy, you take, like, there's a separate phlebotomy class that you take on a sheet, right? And it's just phlebotomy, and it's like 12 weeks. And if you're like phlebotomy taking, then that's a lot of material just to focus on one thing. But if you're doing a patient care technician and you're doing phlebotomy, how can you cover all that information if a phlebotomy and a patient care technician are the same amount of time of completing from start to finish a class? Shouldn't the patient care technician be longer because you still have to learn EKG? You're obviously going to learn phlebotomy, and you have to learn the patient care technician role and all these other, these other scopes of practices of the patient care technician. Which, like I said, I think I will be learning EKG, which like EKG technician is supposed to be an entire separate class. It's very frustrating how they're kind of informing me, but this is the idea. Hopefully I get to learn the whole enchilada, and I go in there, patient care technician, I'll learn phlebotomy. If I don't, that's fine. EKG, the patient care technician roles, scopes of practices, meaning only what the patient care technician can do, and I'll be ready to go. So, but the medical assisting is a significant amount of, I'm not sure exactly, because they do with a lot of computer stuff as well, because you have to learn, to my understanding, that's what you do, but I've always understood that if you do phlebotomy, if you do CNA, if you do PCT, they're all individual sectors, right? So if you do medical assisting, which is a long 8 to 10 month course, the reason it takes 8 to 10 month course is because you're going to learn CNA, patient care technician, and phlebotomy and EKG all combined into one. So that's why it makes you a medical assistant, because you're a professional on all these traits. And so if you want to break down the medical assisting, then you could break it down in sections, which you'll be learning, and then you can take segments of that, which would be the CNA or the patient care technician, right? But I don't know why they don't have it structured like that, because to me that's exactly how it's common sense to me. Because how much more, I'm sure there's more than all those CNA, PCT, EKG technician. There's more material you have to learn in medical assisting, like the computers and sort of the procedures and scopes of practices of that, but it won't be that much more. The reason it's 8 to 10 months is because you have to learn the CNA, you have to learn the PCT, but I'm not sure exactly how that goes, but that's what I'm sort of understand of that. So that's kind of, hopefully this makes a little bit of sense. This is kind of what's going on. So I'm going to just keep this book. Hopefully I'm going to pass, and it'll be good for a study book for me to kind of look over, quickly go over, and sort of just take a look at responses. And whenever I'm in a patient care technician, I can say, I can give this to maybe a teacher, even though it's a CNA class. I may be able to give this to a teacher and be like, hey, can you grade this for me? Can you look at tell me what ands and wrongs I could have done, and can you write your little notes on here what you think I could work on, and then I just have a good test material study book as opposed to just the study book where I'm reading material, relying on information and understanding. Because when you take an exam and test, to my understanding, there's a method and structural part on how they apply tests, right? There's trick questions, there's trick answers, and there's deterring. Kind of maybe it's an answer, maybe it's not. So there's that type of way of how tests are made. So when I have a book like that, it'll help me that much more, besides retaining and remembering all the information and taking sort of these protocols, these scopes of practices, and going forward of knowing how to be a CNA. No, I also know the sort of this material in a structural way of how a test is questioned. Okay, so that'll help me a little bit more. But this is, even if I pass, this is going to be, sort of a good book for me to kind of just look over. And there's a lot of these. Most of these I feel like I can answer at least like 75 to 80%. I feel immediately I can answer all of them correctly. But there's a few of them that, did not seem to. I think I did come across. There's quite a number of questions in here and answers and responses that I did not find anywhere at all listed in that book, in that other book they gave me, at all. So, so I think that, I think it's very important, because it asks a significant amount of questions on here that it just doesn't give any type of response. But that's what I plan to do. Okay, so I know that most of this I can feel like I can answer, and one of the reasons I didn't complete this, it was simply because there's also not an answer book, and it seems to me that this book is more like a practice book. I can tell you this right now. I mean, I can answer all these. I mean, like 70, 85, at least 80% of this book right now. But like I said, I think it'll be very good. So I feel still very confident. Like I said, about the academic test. But as far as the skills test, I'm pretty nervous about that. To be able to get into the clinicals, and because I don't know how well they grade these, they may be very fluctuating. Many years ago, I think I remember many years ago, someone told me this, and it's a certified nursing assistant clinicals test, and I think I had someone told me that they went in there and it was like just beyond. It was like kindergarten easy level, okay? Like, it's like making a bed and you just left. I heard about this before where it was that easy. Like, you couldn't believe that it was that easy. But like I said, that was, I think I remember hearing that from someone like about 20 years ago, maybe a little more. And I think someone could have referenced it to me because, I don't want to get into discussion, but the only thing that ever stopped me with this was not having the GED. That was 1,000. Everything that ever put me and put a wall on everything was the GED, not completing that GED, because I enjoy learning this information and new things. I enjoy this medical information to have a career in it. But for me, that was, I could have done this a long time ago, because I did not like, when I'm working for a printing company, which I did for so many years, it's because I really didn't have much of a choice, because I didn't have any education, and I'm basically pleading for someone to give me a chance to give me a job. So, and at the circumstances of my life, I'm just, the average person, just trying to build a steady, long job at a company, and that's all I'm trying to do. But I really enjoy the professionalism that for me, for myself. Some people are a little bit different, and having that idea that I can actually, have this material that makes, has a significance of intelligence, because even in my early 20s, like when you're going to a company. Like whenever you go into a company, you have to learn you have to learn all different kinds of material. Like when I was working on printers, you have to learn this printer and you have to learn that print. And that, to even be good on some of these printers that I worked on, it took like 8 weeks. Like, I'm not even kidding. It took like about 8 weeks, 7 weeks, maybe even a little bit more than that, to be absolutely, really, really good, which is the same time frame for me. I've been able to take a course. But the thing is if I took a course like the CNA a long time ago, I would have been able to make a lot of more money, be in air conditioning and be in much more comfortable settings, and then pursue more educational, being around people that exercise their brain, that like intelligence. It's just a atmosphere that is I think way better. So I think that is something that is very important. And but anyway, so like I said, I'm going to be studying for the rest of the day, watch these videos, play some video games, take a break, maybe watch other videos, and then watch some more studying. But I still got a whole week. I still got probably solid another 5 days. I don't know yet if I will. I don't know when the clinicals part is available, and the test is. So if I can schedule, I might schedule and go there by myself, like on a Friday, and then have my mom take me. But I don't know yet, so I'm gonna have my mother drop me off, like I did at the GED center, and then pick me up whenever I call her when I get done. Um, so I think that'll be really good. Um, yeah, I'm just going over my notes and, just pretty nervous about hoping I pass this because, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do from before, once I complete this and are successful at the CNA, pass the exams, from August 1st to September 1st is for about 4 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks. So during that time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to complete the 24-hour in-care services education part, which once I complete that online, there's like another $80, and there's a couple websites that do it, I think, for free. But at least it'll let me do it, complete the 24 hours in service, which keeps me updated to right now what's the standards is, not just the class, but the standards of what the state wants the CNAs to learn. And I'll enroll in like a PRN probably in the one of the local nurse rehabilitation or nursing homes to work on call basis. So basically I'll work a day here, 2 days here, 3 days here, whatever it may be, and a day a week. And all you need to renew your license as a CNA is work 1 day, and you have to have the 24-hour. You have to verify that you worked at least 1 day in the 2 years since you've gotten your license, and you completed an in-service 24 hours in-service education of 24 hours. So basically, the 24 hours is like 6 modules on the laptop, where there are 4 hours apiece. So 6 times 4 is 24. So for 4 hours, I watch a module, then they take a test, and you have to pass the test. So it's another 24 hours that I have to do. I know it seems almost like a whole nother class. But it's 24 hours, it's 4 hours, and 6 modules. So that at least I can do on my laptop. So when I complete that, and I do 1 day of work, I know that when it's time to renew my license in 2 years, I already have my 24 hours in service ready, and I have my 1 day of work ready. And I'm good for 4 years. All I got to do when it's time to renew in 2 years is take my proof documentation and my 1 day verification work and pay the fee, and so I'm good for 4 years. So I'm good for at least 4 years, a good lengthy period of time. That way I can just focus now primarily also on my patient care technician's certificate. That is a certificate, it's not a license. The CNA license only allows me to work in Texas, but when I work out of state, I have to go to a Repressio City, or Reprickle, or I don't even know what word it is, but you have to fill out a certain form at the state, at the registry straight, nursing aid registry straight state, so that you can apply for a new license, because every state does things, they're a little bit different. So like if you look a lot of videos in Florida or like California, how they fix the beds and all this other stuff, they do very minimal, a few different things that are a little bit different, how they do things. But I'll have to go there and I have to pay a fee, and I don't know if I'll have to either retake the exam and clinicals as well. So I don't have to take the whole class, depending on what state I go to. Oklahoma, Kansas, requires for me to take the test and clinicals again. So they also, like in Florida, I don't think you have to. You just have to pay a fee, and then you just take the academics test or something like that. But I just know you have to pay a fee for sure to transfer it. And then when I get back to Texas, I have to transfer. So if I were to go to a certified nursing assistant tape agency, and they say, hey, you want to go work in Kansas. I say, okay, well, I'll go to Kansas. Then I have to fill out the form, retake the test, and then I have to come back to Texas and then redo the Texas State again to work in Texas again. So it's constantly taking tests and exams again. So this is why I also probably going to need this again, like I said. But as far as it goes to the patient care technician class, that is 12 weeks. I think that class is going to be a lot more funner. I really do, than the CNA class. But it's a certificate, not a license. It's nationwide. The certificate for the patient care technician allows me to work in any state in the United States without having to go through, pay fees and all these others, take the test again. I don't have to do any of that. I may have to pay a small fee. I could probably look at it right now. I don't even think I have to pay let's see, patient care technician even have to pay a fee. Okay, so like I said, even to work as a patient care technician, a lot of these places require you have to have a CNA. So to even work in some atmospheres, apparently the patient care technician seems to be an easier class. I don't know why they have it 12 weeks, but it seems to me, I understand it, which is weird. It seems to be an easier class to take than a CNA, because I don't know, it's kind of weird for me to think. I was like, well, why would you want to need a CNA license if it's only 7 weeks, but yet a patient care technician is 12 weeks? And then you have to have a patient care technician to work in some places. You have to have a CNA to work as a patient care technician. So either way, it's going to get completed, right? So it'll allow me to work without taking the test again, so I don't have to worry about it. So I can work also, I think, patient care technician, PCT, I'll be able to work part-time PRN as well, but it's not so often as a CNA, but I'll be able to work, it'll give me a lot more Yeah, so I can absolutely work as a PRN, as a patient care technician basis, meaning just as needed. So they'll call me in just whenever they need me as a patient care technician at a hospital, or I can apply there to work full time, or I can work as a temp, and it'll make me very flexible. So if I have a CNA and a patient care technician license, which I think a lot of people don't do, it'll make me much more highly hireable. A lot of people, there will be no reason why somebody would not want to hire me, because I have a patient care technician and a CNA license to even work as a CNA. Like, people, you don't need a PCT to work as a CNA, but if I have a PCT, as well, that's even much more better. But if I work as a patient care technician, I have a CNA license, which to my understanding, people either have one or the other, they don't have both. It'll make me that much more better and more employable, so people will be able to hire me. There won't be no excuses other more than just hatred against me. So that's just kind of what's going on right now, and I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to the patient care technician, because I think this class is going to be a lot more funner. I really do. I think this class will be a lot more funner. I'm interested in the sort of going through what we're going to learn. Obviously, EKG is reading heart palpitations in patients, where you will be able to read on sheets of paper different types of different signals that go from the heart, so you can read defects and whatnot. Now, we won't, as patient care technicians, we don't diagnose anything. So it'll probably be very minimal, very basic stuff on how to do that, and then because the doctors are always supposed to give that diagnosis, and nurses are supposed to give that the closest to a diagnosis, but that's always doctors that give diagnosis to that. So we'll get to learn the very just simple steps to that. I don't think patient care technician can learn phlebotomy inside a hospital, being trained to do, but the phlebotomy is supposed to be a separate class. So to my understanding, I won't be learning that. But whatever it is they have in the patient care technician, I really do look forward toward it. But I'm glad that I'll have a CNA and, God willing, a patient care technician. But I'm not trying to think too far ahead of me, because I have to just focus on the CNA, just the CNA class, just to be successful in this. I'm excited because, gosh, if I'm able to, God, please let me be smart to get this, to pass this test. I'm going to complete these 24 hours like right away, and what I'm going to do is I'll be good for 4 years. Boom, for 4 years, I don't have to worry about anything. I just have to do my part-time work at the PRN. I get to learn at a rehabilitation center, and I get to learn, obviously, the work side of the nursing home, which I'm already in the clinicals part, but the patient care, the CNA, when you work and get paid as a dementia Alzheimer's unit, it'll be a little bit different there. But I'm excited to work in I work in an assisting living atmosphere, which is, I thought it was very weird, because there's supposed to be a few different, there's supposed to be rehabilitation, nursing home for elders, and then dementia, I think. What's this? Right, so so there's several different assisted living centers. Like I'm right now working in a dementia Alzheimer's. So everybody in the place that I work in has dementia and Alzheimer's, most of them, and which is assisted living, which I still think that is incorrect, because it's more of a dementia Alzheimer's focused area. Because, which I guess is correct. But anyway, it'll allow me to travel. So when I travel, I have to fill out a lot of paperwork to retake the test, which I'm not going to be too worried about, hopefully, because I'll have my patient care. Because if I get a lot of shit and I move to a different state for doing an assignment, I have my patient care technicians. I'll be like, you know what, I'm just going to go work this hospital, it's giving me too much shit. I'm just going to go back to work, finish my assignment, work here for a little bit, and then go back to Texas, and I don't have to take the test here at this state. I'll try a different state. Because I don't ever know what the situation is ever going to be when I get to a situation. I think having both certificates will have me a very good runner-up to know what my LVN outcome is going to be in the future. But that's going to be a long road. I just have to focus on baby steps. Get this CNA and get this done. So there's a lot of other stuff that's going on. It's very upsetting because it's almost like I feel somebody has been using this entire time some sort of electronic device that's permitted my brain from functioning and working at full capacity. And it felt like somebody turned off an electronic device when I was at one of my jobs, when I was in clinicals one day, and my brain was fully academically, I was able to talk and understand. My brain owns functions better than it is ever, and it's never. It was weird. Somebody had some sort of electronic device. Immediately, academics was just there for me. academics and getting a career is like so much more possible. And like I said, I don't know who's responsible for doing this, but there's a lot of other crazy shit that's going on. But anyway, I'm doing my best, and I am. It's a long road. Let me tell you something. For me to get an LVN, it's like me have been going to an Ivy school or going to like a Harvard. That's the world that I lived in. I mean, it's crazy for something like that for me. There is no doubt in my mind, if I had been in a good environment, RN, without a doubt, RN, very significant in a high level position in nursing for sure. But I think LVN is 12 to 18 months, and LVN is great because it's very versatile. There's a lot of stuff that they don't do that RNs do, but I'll be very, very challenged, and I'll be very educated. That's a long road ahead of me. Long road. I may not even start in LVN until the end of next year. So that's probably like, because they say right before Christmas I finish up. I'll probably do a couple PRNs as well before Christmas, and then at the beginning I'll have a whole year to focus on work, CNA travel, or work for at least 3 to 4 months in Texas, here in Dallas. Stay in Dallas for at least 3 to 4 months, and then do a traveling trip, so that make sure I'm adaptable to what my work is, and I learn kind of what the scopes of that is, and then I'll start focusing on nothing but, okay, what are my next steps? What do I need to do to get this LVN? Do I need to finish the TSI? Do I need to do this? So if I just know that I have to finish this TSI to hopefully not waste so much time, then that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to focus on this math. I'll take the reading test, see how well I do, which I think I'll pass it, and I'll take the TSI test at Ritson College, and over until I pass it. But I'm just going to focus on that math. So once that's complete, once I pass that TSI test, I know all I have to do is I'm ready to go. I'm ready to enlist in the LVN program and figure out which LVN programs is going to be best for me. I have to figure out tuition cost. I have to figure out all that stuff later. But I know that I'll be in a setting to focus on that, because by then, there's a whole lot of stuff. Before I ever get into an LVN program and adjust it, I'm going to have a desk, a nice desk. I'm going to have a nice bed. So financial resources is going to be very important. And by that time, I hopefully will be able to buy a cheap little car for me to be able to drive to and from my LVN. I may continue taking the paratransit bus to my destination. It gets me there and back where I need to get, which I may very much well do, but I may get a car. It's a good chance that I might get a car to drive to complete that LVN, so that I can go from residence. And by then, I'll have to find something else nearby, because the LVN classes aren't really within this proximity of an area. So I'll probably try to find, because LVNs, to my understanding, there's not a tuition. Like, you got to pay money to go to an LVN, or you got to get a loan, a student loan. The good thing is, if I have this is why I also want to take the CNA and PCT when I have those two, because when I apply for a student loan, or when I apply for a grant at an LVN school, they want to know, why should we trust this person? Just like you go to a bank. So if I go there and be like, I have a CNA license and I have a patient care technician, I'm going to go ahead and take, this guy's already had these, several months and weeks of these training courses, because there's a lot of people, they'll graduate high school and they go straight off to an LVN. They take the TSI, they pass it, with just average scores, just enough to pass it, and then they jump right into an LVN, and they passed it, but they don't have any medical training at all. if once they know that I have a CNA and I have a patient care technician license, they'll be like, oh, okay, well, we're likely to grant this person an opportunity. So it'll help me, given the idea that I don't have any money. I'm not just some guy off the streets that, that just doesn't have anything to come here. I have an education of saying that I've been persistent, I've completed these programs, and I'm likely to be successful because I did pass these programs, likely to pass the LVN, likely for them to trust me that they'll give me money so that I can invest in my future, invest in my life and new career. But I think that'll be really great. That will be absolutely very great. Yeah, so that's a very long journey for now. That's a very, very long journey. I'm not even really thinking too much of it. Other than it's a long-term goal and dream. But right now, it's CNA. Got to pass this test and get this clarified. So once that's completed, finish the 24 hours, and I'll be for 4 years. I'll be good for 4 years, knowing that I can work part-time, take the bus, work for, 5 or 6 hours or whatever, 8-hour day, 4-hour day, wherever they need me. I'll make, whatever X amount of dollars. And the good thing is also about earning my GED. I know that I know I'm really old to have earned a GED, but for me to be able to learn and get a GED at 42 means that I'm still fresh to a lot of the material in academics when it comes to that GED high school equivalence test, so that whenever an LVN program looks at that, be like, well, this guy just recently knows and took this test, as opposed to, I graduated 20 years ago, and then expects people to remember much of that. So anyway, that is also a benefit, because I am going to have to pay my way to school. I do not have any money. There is not any, there's no programs at all for LVN, like the Richland College, that allows me to take a CNA class for free or a patient care technician for free. Which, even when I took the CNA class, I have to pay for the test and I have to pay for the immunizations, and I've been doing that. I've already spent and I had to purchase the books, and that was altogether that's it's $400 or $500. The books were $50, I think, a piece, or altogether. The immunizations was $175. I was $250. So anyway, yeah, it's been about $300 to $400 somewhere around there that I've had to spend for my own, just to even get into this class. And I have to also pay the test. So, the test itself is $120. The books was $170. So it's about $400. So $400 to $500 just to even take in the class, and it's supposed to be free. So anyway, when I take this patient care technician, I'm also going to have to pay for the test again. It's given if I don't ever fail it if I pass it on the first try. And then I'm already good for immunization. So hopefully this is all going to work. Hopefully this is all going to be very benefiting and work, because it's just a long road to get that LVN. It's very, very long road to, and not to get ahead of myself. Just focus on the small things, and little by little, I can work on it. And there's not to say that, in this whole journey of getting this, I may be, not be able to not do anything of my own fault, out of safety or homelessness. Something could happen to me, or I just, it's just not going to be safe. And it's just because if I don't enroll into this September 1st class, then I'm completely screwed until the next, and that's the next enrollment, I think, is in March. So I'll waste all that time when I could have completed a course. But I'll be good nationwide. I will be good. I also have to take a 24 hours, I think, patient care technician, PCT. So I'll have to learn the patient care technician renewal, and see what this is going to be like. So I'll have to figure out. I'm looking on right now PCT renewal requirements. Okay, so certification renewal recycle. Certification is every 2 years for PCT. Recertification is required annually. It says renewal application can be submitted 60 days before the expiration. It must be submitted. So I have to complete also continuing education. So from less, okay, so this is less hours. Continuing education is 20 hours of ACPE credit to continue pharmacy education. Oh wait, hold on. Okay, so I just found it. Okay, so according to these renewal book, renewal requires, so it's 75 hours of contact hours of continuing education. So it's way more than 24 hours, but it's 75 hours. I'll be able to do that every 2 years. It's not, and that's to keep me up to date with all the stuff that's going on. Oh well, yeah, it's 75 hours every 2 years, but for the CNA, I'm good for 4 years if I finish this, do the 24-hour in-service. So that's a pretty good deal. No, it's just not 75 hours. It says here, what is PC? Okay, I didn't get yes. So it's every 2 years. Most organizations allow renewal through 10 continuing education per 2 cycle. It's only 10 hours, so it's a lot. It's easier. So it's only 10 hours. Yeah, it says here, continuing education credits for most organizations include allow renewal through 10 key CE credits per continuing education credits. So it looks like I'll also have to pay another $175. It's like $200 to renew it. So anyway, it's not too bad. 10 hours. 10 hours, and looks like I'll have to take an exam again, renewal exam. If you prefer, required to take the exam. It is computer-based. It can be taken remotely or a testing center. Provide remote proctoring, proctoring study guidelines, guides, and multiple exam attempts without additional fees. So you get multiple attempts as well. So it's pretty good, 10 hours, even better. So I need to get to studying and get to what I'm going to be doing. So praying to God that I get the CNA. My brain feels like mush, and right now, and I'm just hoping to pass. I'm hoping to make this successful. It's wild for me to be going through this of all the things that are going on.